Hello and welcome to The Boy and the Bear. How we doing, Paddy boy?
I'm good, yeah. Just found out you went to see Paddington, so it's not the only bear you've been hanging about with, apparently.
Oh, I wish I hadn't asked. And Scotty boy, how are you?
I'm good. It's just nice to know you're with a much happier bear than me. So
Yeah, have you seen Paddington yet, mate?
no, I'm not 5. So I went to see a grown-ups film, Gladiator 2.
I don't even know why I ask how he's off. I actually don't really care. But listen, anyway, it's an international break, so we thought we'd take the chance to reflect on the season so far. A chance for Patrick and Scott to take a breather while there is no club football on at the moment. First of all, lads, on a cheery note, best game so far this season, and I'm going to open the floor up with you first, Pat, because I'm sure there's more that come to mind.
He's just itching, isn't he? He's just itching.
We've not had a chance to speak about the best game of the season so far, which is undoubtedly the Leipzig game in the Champions League. Not only do I think that's the best game of this season so far, I think, honestly, boys, that might be the best I've ever seen Celtic play in my lifetime. In terms of the quality of the opposition and the fact that it wasn't just scraping by like 10 men behind the ball like the Barcelona win or the Lazio wins. We bossed that game. You know, Maizen Dida had one ruled out for offside in the last minute, which would have been 4-1, and that wouldn't have flattered us either. It was just, I couldn't actually believe what I was watching, and it was just so composed. The one-touch passing, the round the corner balls, the through balls, the performances from Hatate, McGregor and Kuhn, just outrageously good. And we've had a few great moments this season already. The Aberdeen semi-final, I thought we were brilliant, beating Rangers at home, but the Leipzig one, it has to, you know, take top spot for this season because of how exciting that is for Celtic's future. Like it really, that's Rodgers hitting his quota, isn't it? As I've said so many times on this podcast, he has said, "Judge me in Europe. I want to make a mark in Europe." That was making a mark in Europe, not just the result, but the performance as well.
On to you, Scotty boy.
It's a bit sad, isn't it? That I've had to like trawl through.
Well, we all know what Philippe Clement's one is.
Yeah, I think from the goals perspective, Ross County and at 6-0. What a wonderful game that was. And followed up by draws. So I think domestically that's the best game. I would say in Europe though, I think last week's performance against Olympiacos has to be up there, just with, you know, everything. We're a kind of a hit or miss team now, and that was a really good, solid performance. Everyone was at their best, and you know, their last season's Europa Conference League winners. So
I was about to say it's a totally different team in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
apart from that Lyon game, but you know,
yeah.
I actually thought you were going to go Ross County there. I was about to remind you that you were also playing in Europe this season.
Yeah, I know.
Just, do they set up differently in Europe, or do you think the team's just better suited for it?
I think they set up differently. I think there's that mentality block. He's maybe got it in his head that we're going up against low blocks domestically, so we need to change it. We need to be a bit slower and be a bit more patient with the build up and try to work these teams open. But we've seen it. It's just not the way to do it. They're happy to sit with the 10 men behind the ball and just wait for their opportunity. Whereas in Europe, teams will come at us and it allows us to actually play.
I don't think Aberdeen did that against you though.
No, but we'll get onto that. I was going to get onto that because that's
Is that your worst game, is it?
One of them, yeah. There's a lot. But I think Olympiacos and Malmo, I think you could see Clement's Rangers in those two games, you know, but it's so frustrating because you don't see that often enough. So I would say Olympiacos for me is probably the best overall performance.
We are people sometimes.
But
in foreign languages. Well, Scotty, straight on to your worst one then, mate.
I mean, take your pick, mate. Honestly, just take your pick. There's been several. You mentioned it, Lyon, Paddy's favourite game of the season.
Lyon, you just missed a couple of sitters.
It was kind of
a couple of sitters. They scored 4.
one of those. But
Scott, please do talk us through each one. You know Let's carefully decide what Rangers' worst game of the season.
Right,
Don't,
well,
mate, because this is not the boy and the
I
boy.
know.
Just
This
pick
is
a game,
pick a
see it
game.
through,
Well,
shed a wee tear.
yeah, I was just going to say that I had kind of written for, the Celtic, Aberdeen, the Killie game, and the Hearts. That's kind of where my immediate. But when I was trying to come up with the correct answer,
11 league games.
I'm going to have to say Killie. I know it's difficult, but they're not brilliant. They're struggling for form, and we go there and we kind of go over the line. It's just we look like we were 5-6 years ago when we struggled so bad at Rugby Park. That's kind of what it looked like to me.
You ever seen a good game on that pitch?
A few, once or twice, but nothing major. I just don't understand why we struggle so much to actually be able to play any decent football. And I know the pitch is the excuse is getting, but I'm fed up. You're a professional athlete, you should be able to go up and turn on that pitch and play. Even if it's not totally pretty, you should still be able to go out there and get a win and a decent performance. But you're looking at the defence in that game, and it's just powder puff stuff. Getting beat for second balls and headers. So I think obviously Celtic is one of those games that you do expect. Unfortunately, you kind of go in with that fear that you're going to lose. So it's more of a surprise if we win those games. Aberdeen, I think every Rangers fan would have saw that coming because they've been on form, we've been terrible. And I think Killie was the one you're like, oh, for God's sake, right? A chance to close the gap. I think that's what makes it the worst. When it was a chance to close the gap. The
hope that kills you.
Yeah, and then we just go out there. We know what we've got to do to bridge that gap to get the points on the board, and we can't do it. That's what the worrying thing. So I think for me, that's what makes it the worst game of this season so far.
Well, Paddy Boy, I'd imagine you're going to say Dortmund, and I'll let you talk us through that pain again. But I am going to ask you for a second one as well, where you don't think Celtic have played that well this season, if any come to mind at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dortmund, for obvious reasons, was just the classic Celtic in Europe game. All that was missing was a red card in the first minute or something. We've been through the Dortmund game and how embarrassing it was. We've been through the post-mortem. You can go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear some Celtic tears. But
you must be delighted though that Celtic have stuck to the guns. Next game in Europe, they've tried to play the same way again, rather than it'd be much easier for the players. Never mind the manager putting the team out. Much easier for the players to resort back to.
Yeah, I think that's the real positive you got to take. I mean, Roger said he didn't change anything for Atalanta. I mean, he definitely did. But to see the learning from that, to go away to the team that won Europa League and beat Leverkusen and get a 0-0 draw,
yeah. And the second is Serie A as well, just now.
Just so
beat Napoli 3-0 away.
So unlike Celtic, the last result that any of us saw coming. And then it feels like it's all been leading up to the Leipzig game, and sometimes you need to learn more from your losses than you do from your wins, don't you? And that's our only loss this season, unless I'm mistaken. So I'm glad that we have clearly learned from it. Domestically, it has to be the most recent one. Again, I thought we were really, really ropey against Kilmarnock. The game after Leipzig, I think the players were tired. It was on that pitch that sort of I was asking Scotty about that Rugby Park pitch, and they've just announced that they're not going to be changing it back to grass for another couple of years.
Are they not? I thought they were doing it next season, and they cancelled that.
Delayed it. Yep, delayed it.
Of course they have.
More fantastic football on that pitch. For a lot of reasons, that game was a struggle. I thought Adam Ida was woeful, but he did have his nose nearly broken in the first minute of the game, which is the most Rugby Park thing you can possibly have.
Was that Gordon by any chance?
I can't remember the guy's name on my head, but he got smashed in stereotypical striker fashion. But yeah, I thought Celtic were pretty poor in that game. Shout out to Falkirk, who gave us the biggest domestic fright of the season, apart from maybe Aberdeen.
I'd say Aberdeen may, but fair.
But, Falkirk were better in 90 minutes than Aberdeen were against us. And, they were very unlucky to end up getting beat in that game. But, yeah, it's been a pretty perfect season apart from a 7-1 defeat, which is, the nature of being a Celtic fan.
I suppose you can't really grumble, though, if you're turning in performances like you are just now and your players are in form. I think you've got to, recognise that. It's
I
actually
just
quite
had-
good.
Speaking of players that are in form, Pat, who's player of the season so far for you?
I mean, it's got to be Kuhn, doesn't it? Like, Kuhn, I think, has already got more goal involvements this season, like goals and assists, than I think Jota and O'Reilly got in entire seasons in their first season.
Wow.
So it's the guy is on ridiculous form. Like the Leipzig game, I mean, the 2 goals he scored, but particularly that first one, and then the confidence he had in the second half. It was like you'd like boosted all his stats on FIFA, and he was just like gliding past people.
So 99 Kun, just informed card, like, you know, like just
that's what it felt like. It was just ridiculous. And then yet again, he bails us out in the Kilmarnock game. He's just been like from out of nowhere, ridiculously good, written off by 75% of Celtic fans before this season began. Most of us wouldn't have complained if he'd left in the summer, and you look at him now, full pre-season under his belt. He's just been astonishing. I mean, I think the best summer signing's probably been Kasper Schmeichel. He has improved the goalkeeping department because his distribution is unbelievable.
An upgrade from Joe Hart?
Yeah, I mean, the only way you could upgrade Joe Hart would be distribution, and Kasper's done it. That he just chipping balls out to fullbacks or wingers as if, in a way that you then watch Craig Gordon playing for Scotland and you're like, aye, that's how you kick a ball, mate.
it's a bit ropey, innit?
Yeah. He's been fantastic, yeah.
But if you look at Nicholas Kuhn's kind of career path, it's almost like everybody's just been waiting for this sort of season to happen. I mean, obviously it was documented during the Leipzig game. He actually came through there under 19s, and then he got signed for Ajax, and then from Ajax, without playing a game for Ajax, went to Bayern Munich, and then a few loans, and then obviously went to Rapid, and then so
we're getting the player now that I think Bayern Munich thought they might be getting.
Yeah, with some coaching and stuff, and
it's
just a bit of confidence,
bit of maturity as well,
Yeah, the experience, and you guys laughed when I said apparently the story was, from January onwards he was getting his wisdom tooth removed or something, but there was something medically wrong with him that was affecting his game, and I think now that point has been vindicated because
maybe just knows he's the main man as well.
Do you know what's mental? It's at the time of recording, mid-November. I don't miss Matt O'Reilly.
Oh,
I don't think you've been made to miss Matt O'Reilly yet.
But we've spent that money really, really well.
Your
You've
recruitment's been well.
Brought in Engels, brought in McCowan, brought an informed.
Can I just also note at the point in this recording that Matt O'Reilly came off the bench last week and scored the winner against Man City. So
yeah, but rather than looking jealously saying, "Oh, we had him," we've really fucked our transfer window. I'm actually going, I'm just really happy for you, mate, because we're in a really good place.
But I think I think this is like Scottish clubs and just where we are in the football landscape. I think we have to get used to that we're going to have to be this kind of stepping stone, and as big as Rangers and Celtic are, it's going to have to be a case of wish you well, thanks for your service, move on, and just rather than going, oh, we had him and we haven't done well, we've not done. It's like you said, it's about it's like your recruitment has to be spot on, especially in this. We're in that kind of middle range market where we buy and sell reasonable price football and try to turn them into somebody that can get into the Premier League or Serie A or something.
But I mean, Celtic are a stepping stone, and you guys are a little pebble.
We are that lily pad that's fully submerged in it.
You're that episode on Crash Bandicoot.
I was just about to say that when you're standing on the lily pad too long, you just drop into the water. Yeah, that's how we are. But
Scotty, pick one of the players that hasn't proved to be one of those lily pads this season. Your best player, please.
Careful, Tav, that rock's loose.
You're falling and broken your ankle. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Even if Dessers had fallen, you would have blamed Tav anyway. So
nah, we still have blamed Dessers.
Not going for your top scorer as your best player, no. No, okay.
No. I mean, I know you keep beating that drum about Dessers, but I think
he's a goal scorer, mate. I don't think he was a brilliant player, but he scores goals, and that's what you're lacking right now. But your best player, please, mate.
I am going to say it's going to be Nico Raskin.
Oh.
Or Connor Barron. That's the two I've written down. So I just feel like the two of them have, especially like Connor Barron's come in and done really well, but Nico Raskin kind of fell off. For me, I think he's come back to that player we all thought we were getting when we first signed him. And I think he's just come onto the gate like a game, especially Olympiacos. He was absolutely brilliant. Just a stalwart in that middle of the park. It was
6 by Nico.
Yeah, it's a good restaurant. But well, he is a number 6 as well. You should say that. It's a good Pat.
That was kind of the entire point.
Mate, I know. I'm just.
And his first name's Nico. Just
really, is it?
Yeah.
Thought it was Nicholas.
Also, absolutely no chance you've been to 6 by Nico. But carry on.
No, Rangers don't pay me enough. So, but no, I think for me right now, he's a key player. I think he's the one that allows Conor Barron, Bajrami, Diamande to go and try and influence games, or Cherney. So I would say for me, he's the key one. It's nice to see him back performing, and hopefully now he's over the injuries and can just kick on.
So. Most disappointing, Scotty?
Proper for me. You know, Dessers is Dessers. Do you mean he is a weak link in a sense of a lot of the attacks do break down, and when he's off his game, we are completely useless as an attacking force. When he's on it, we look a bit better and we get up the park and we take and create more opportunities. But when unfortunately for him, there's a few less games like that. You know, more often than not, he's having a meltdown at the referee for getting rugby tackled, or he's wanting to try and fight someone. You know, it's just a bit like mate, just get on with it.
So I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think for Robin, I'm choosing Proper because I just think the money we spent on him. You know, he's this 30-year-old experienced centre-half from the Netherlands. You're thinking, right,
come and hit the ground running. You've got all the experience. You won't need time to sell. You're a good Connor Goldson replacement, as in you're similar ages. You've got kind of similar profiles, and he's just turned into be an absolute powder puff defender. You know, like he gets beat in the air, he gets pushed off the ball. I mean, how do you get pushed off the ball? You're 6'3". Do you mean you're getting pushed off the ball? Do you think he's just not recovered from that Celtic game, has he?
Probably not, but I think you look at. But then my argument to that is you look at Vaclav Černý. You know, he had one of those games in Lyon where he missed 2 key opportunities, and he admitted it himself. You know, he's like, that's not good enough, and then he's come back and he's worked. He's put his head down and he looks the player that we all thought we were getting. You know, he's a key player for us in an attacking sense. You think Robin Proper, being a 30-year-old, would have that experience to brush it off, to go, I had a bad game, but you know, it's a long season, just keep going. But he just looks timid every time he's on the ball. So for me, he's the weak link, and I just think I've said it.
How much did you pay for him, Scotty? How much did you pay for him?
I saw a thing saying it's like 3 million, 3.5 million. But then I saw another report saying it was 1.5. So it's somewhere between 1.5 million, 3.5. But for that, you're thinking I think it was up to 3. That's what I read a multiple sources saying it was more like the 3.5. But I think for that money, you're expecting someone to come in and just be the absolute stick on every week to play. Yeah. And, you know, to help guys like Yefty and John Shooter and other inexperienced defenders around you to just come on a game. But he's the one that needs to be coached. He's the one that's needing to be talked through games. You know, he looks a bag of nerves. So that's really disappointing for me. I think that's the one I was looking forward to it. And then, you know, a Dutch centre-half, you know, you can't go wrong. And then we've got the worst one. So, I mean, it's just Rangers recruitment, isn't it? It's just, you're like, for fuck's sake. He's great, is he, aye?
I've got a rough idea who you're going to go for, Pat, just based on some of the episodes we've covered this season. Falkirk game standing out most, but hit us with it.
Yeah, it's hard to describe Palma as a weak link because he's barely been present. You know, he's just not played.
Maybe he's got a wisdom tooth out and all.
He's probably got gold. Like,
to share that wisdom with Rangers board.
Well, we could have signed him. So, you know.
Yeah, Palma's a weird one. Like, from scoring goals in the Champions League last season to really quite drastically dropping off this season. It's been a bit of a weird one. Yeah, it's no surprised that my answer to that is Palma as a weak link. In terms of the players, that you'd say are our starters who have maybe had a drop off to usual levels, I think it's probably Greg Taylor. I think Alex Baez really come in and possibly has played better than Taylor.
Quick question on that. Sorry to interrupt you. Is Greg Taylor dropped off his level, or have Celtic just got to a level where he can't get to? A bit like probably Ralston, a little bit. Like, we all know what Ralston's like and what Ralston can offer, but he's never going to be.
Or do not diss Anthony Saint.
I'm not. Well, I am,
but he is limited.
Do you know what I mean? He's not like, and I get the same impression, maybe a little bit less with Greg Taylor, but still to the same extent. If Celtic are going to be successful in Europe, Greg Taylor can't be Celtic's left back.
Celtic are being successful in Europe and at the moment, and Taylor is our left back. But I would agree. I think he was the weak link, and I think he was a player that Leipzig were targeting. He was at fault for the goal we conceded to Bratislava. I think if you're talking, it's harsh to describe Taylor as a weak link this season because he's not been bad by any means. But in terms of the players that start games and have had a level previously, I think it feels, and he's still not signed a new contract, and that's been rumbling on for about a year. So you wonder maybe if Taylor's actually thinking, do you know what? Done all I can here. He's been here 5 years.
Money move.
He's won titles and stuff, Jane, so he's probably...
I've seen very, very early shouts of Robbo to Celtic.
So have I. I think Celtic could end up having the same problem.
I'll just pack up. That's fine.
Celtic could end up having the same problem as Scotland did for a while, and trying to fit KT and Robbo into the same system. Is what
you gonna get Robbo, don't you? I mean, he's. I've watched Liverpool a few times this season. He looks like he's dropped off a little bit. You don't know if it's pre-season related issues.
I hope he carries on dropping off.
But was he not injured though? Did he not?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have a pre-season. But even just watching it for Scotland this year, he's not been maybe at the highest level for Scotland. Still super fullback, but I mean, Celtic aren't going to sign him if he's at a level he has been for the last 6-7 years, are they? So you do need that bit of a drop off. But I just seen some very early shouts, and I think it's quite public knowledge that he wants to play for Celtic at some point.
Do you want to name your sources on that one, media?
Me.
Can I just ask, Pat? Sorry, why do you think the Palma's dropped off so much? Do you think it's a confidence thing, or do you think he's maybe another one of these players that thinks he's too good for Scottish football? And
remember the same thing I'd rip TikTok Todd Cantwell for.
Yeah,
exact same thing. Focused
on Lewis Palma, Todd Cantwell.
Same attitude, yeah.
I mean, I heard the Celtic players like the TikTok as well, though. Big Kyle will eat mushrooms, so.
But Kyogo's got nothing to prove on the park.
I know.
Also in the Japan squad this week.
Is he? That's good. Mm-hmm.
Palma does, and it's just a basic lack of work rate. Like if you want to play for Brendan Rodgers, you got to be absolutely knackered when you come off the pitch, and Palma coasts it. Can't be trusted.
Would that have also been your biggest surprise in the squad this season, Pat, or is there a load to spring to mind?
The surprise has to be Kuhn, doesn't it? In terms of it just coming from absolutely nowhere. Like, I cannot believe how well Kuhn is playing. I don't think anyone can. It's been a total bolt from the blue. He's gone from struggling to do it at Dingwall to doing it in the Champions League. It's kind of crazy.
Hard place to go, Dingwall.
As we well know.
It's cold there. It's very cold. So
honourable shout to Liam Scales as well, who's had 2 man of the match performances in the Champions League as well. And like I say, I keep saying when we started this podcast, he was a punchline. And
you're saying this on the day after that he just sent off for Ireland and they conceded 5 goals.
He also absolutely smashed Harry Kane. So yeah, leave him on him. But no, in terms of Celtic performances, yeah, Kuhn's the obvious surprise, but a shout out to Scales as well.
Yeah. Scotty, I'm going to ask you to try and be positive here, mate.
Yeah,
but you don't have to be.
Well, I appreciate
surprise. Did you hear Scott's voice kind of break there when you're like, yeah,
I'll try.
I've got nothing there.
As I'm sure the listeners will have realised by now, the energy for supporting Rangers this season is very taxing. As you can tell by my face, I've had to shave my beard off just to look youthful. So it is hard to be positive in a season where there is just so much going wrong. But I would love to sit here and say it's wonderful to see so many young players coming through Ibrox. That is not happening, so I can't be positive about that. I'd love to sit here and say we're free-flowing, scoring goals, but we're not. We've only scored 16 goals, and that's pretty dire.
Stadium doesn't have asbestos in it anymore.
Never had asbestos, just didn't have disabled access, so now it does. So that's probably the biggest surprise. Well done. No, I think my biggest surprise is just the regression. Honestly, just how much we appear to have regressed. You know, I know you get the usual manager bounce and stuff when they first come in, but he's been there a year now. You think you'd have implemented your style, your
Scotty,
you know. So I think that's for me. That's kind of the lack of goals and the kind of drop off, and that's I would say is surprise.
Just speaking of your manager though, because rightfully so, I'm not saying otherwise. There's been questions cast in his direction, but he is
questions
and I laughed
cast in his direction.
And I thought you were joking when you posted in the chat earlier on that he is favourite for the Belgium job. I genuinely thought that was like some,
you just thought I'd just take the piss, just try to get some
mental source, like worse than Andy Robertson source.
Yeah, just kind of making up something to give me some joy and hope.
Making up something for a podcast. Won't be the first, won't be the last.
From to Belgium, eh?
And my point on that is that you obviously drew my attention to the fact that the link's basically the ex-CEO of Bruges is the person that's...
I think he's become the new technical director or Belgian football or something of the Belgian FA. So I think that's where the link's coming from.
Does that not tell you though, if someone's ex-boss has gone to a new job and he tries to take an employee off that previous position to that new job, that he might be worth standing by?
See, when I brought this to your attention and stuff, I kind of knew this was going to come up. So
why some argumentative little?
Not at all, mate. Not at all. It's for the podcast purposes.
You said it.
I just think he's obviously very, very well thought of in his homeland. Right, you win 3 titles there, you're going to be well regarded. And then I think you look at his time in France, didn't end very well. You look at his start here was good, and then this middle phase of his Rangers managerial career isn't exactly going well. And I think what frustrates me the most is he's been in the job a good amount of time now, that we should be able to see clear signs on a consistent basis, but we're not. Rangers are so hit or miss. It's the European performances, as you mentioned at the start, and then our biggest win was in the 12th of August in the league. It's so divisive and up and down. I don't know what's caused it. So I just think he looks like a kind of shadow of himself as well. He looks like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's some of the stuff he's coming out with, as we mentioned in the last podcast, you're just like, mate, someone just take the mic off him and just put him in the car and send him up the road. Because he's just coming out with like nonsense that try to gaslight the fans, and we're like, we don't need to hear that. Everyone's got 2 eyes. You can see that the performances aren't there, so don't try and tell the fans.
Everybody else doesn't blame Tav.
Clement dropped Tav.
I know, but again, it's like, so you think, right, so he drops Tav, Olympiacos starts Dujon Sterling. It's the best performance like we've had all season, and everyone's up for it, everyone's energy, and then we play Hearts at the weekend and he brings Tavernier in from the start and the energy drops. And I'm not saying that's Tavernier's fault, but what I am saying is you've made that point as a manager to
Did he not get the assist?
Yes.
Who scored the goal?
Dessers.
Got a clean sheet.
I know your point. I get what you're saying. All I'm saying is
it's hard.
It's hard because you want him to succeed.
Just need someone to hate.
I just want somebody to blame. But no.
In fairness, what did Roberto Martinez ever really do? What makes him more qualified for the Belgian job than Clement? I don't think Martinez has ever won a title, has he?
He's also not the Belgian manager.
That's a great point. He was.
Yeah, it's Dominic Tedesco.
He was though, wasn't he, for a bit?
Yeah, he was. But again, you're right. I think is I don't want him.
I'll ask the questions.
Realistic, I don't want him to get fired. I want him to succeed, but he's just not. And I think the problem is you're seeing a product on the park that just isn't good enough. I'd understand his argument if we were winning games, keeping clean sheets, and we were very hard to play through and break down. But we are so easy to just break down. You look at the number of games, especially at Celtic, Aberdeen. You look at the Lyon game, one simple over the top ball and we're all looking about, like wondering where the ball is. You know, it's in the
Steve,
back
you
of the
mentioned the
goal.
C word and he's off on one again.
You know,
I
so
know.
I just, to me, I don't know. I just think. I think if it comes in and he gets offered the Belgian job, I mean, I hope he does take it.
Good night.
Right. I will personally drive him to Empoli.
Wow, he wants
Oh,
him
no,
sacked.
you won't.
Scotty
No, you
wants
won't.
No,
him sacked.
no, I think it might be just. There's a
Do you know
lot.
what'd be hilarious? Hilarious if you got the Belgian job and they won the World Cup.
Aye,
Honestly,
that would be the most Rangers thing to do, or
it'd be
the most Rangers thing ever. If Clement says no to the Belgium job, right? A month later, he gets fired after we lose another horrendous Old Firm game, and we have to pay him compensation.
yeah.
That
I mean,
would be the most Rangers thing to
another
do.
thing
sure.
is Rangers might just gently take the money that they got offered for him. That's
But then, I think that might not be the worst thing, and you go after Kevin Muscat, who
Can't afford to keep you. Can't afford to sack you.
but we'll sell you.
I love that your biggest surprise.
Scotty, I
Scott,
can't
was
even-
your biggest surprise was like, how shite we are.
But no, you go into the season, you think, right, we're getting the manager's in, he's assessed the players, it's time to go, we'll get a new budget, we'll get the good players, we've got all this wonderful stuff we've been hearing about how good the recruitment's going to be this summer, we've got a new guy in place, and we're watching this shite unfold.
Well, listen, boys. Last one on the list. Overall grade. Wanted to be simple and straightforward. Scotty boy.
D.
Fair.
I mean, I think it's fair. We're sitting third. We've scored 16 goals. I mean, I think that says everything. So
If you'd beat Aberdeen in that league game, Pat, would have been an A+. Is that the only thing?
I'm actually gonna. Yeah, I think A or A
And
minus.
maybe the Dortmund.
Probably leading,
Dortmund had only scored 5.
I think Dortmund takes it to an A minus rather than an A plus. I think.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
And listen, boys, predictions on how many trophies you think you'll win and where you will get to in Europe. Paddy boy.
I think Celtic will win the treble. Big game against our old rivals in the League Cup final in December, and I think we're gonna get beat in the playoff. I think we're gonna get enough points to head into this Champions League playoff game and lose that one.
Cool.
As you can probably tell, fuck all. Zero trophies this season as it's
Nah, come
transition.
on. Even Beale got you pretty much to winning a trophy.
Yeah, no, I just don't see it. Honestly, I don't see it. I can't see it. I can't sit here and lie to the people.
God.
I can't lie to the people.
You are the people.
I am the people, but I can't lie to myself. I just can't do it.
Europe.
I think we'll get to the playoff, a bit like Pat, and then probably get put out in that round. So I think we've done pretty well.
Was that a success?
No. But
Depends who you
It's
get
a
beat
bit-
by, innit?
yeah, it depends on how if we get cuffed by Man United or Tottenham, then it's probably going to be absolutely horrific.
Never know,
but,
Scott. You could beat one of them.
but you could beat them, right? I think there's a chance there.
I can't wait for
Um,
Ange to get his own back, just rubbing his hands together.
I can't wait for Big Baldy Clement to go up against Big Ange and beat him. So yeah, I think to me, I just can't see us. I can't even see us winning a trophy. You know, it might not be Celtic winning a treble. It could be Aberdeen winning a cup. I just can't see us winning the first trophy this season. I can't see it. Obviously, the league's out of question. We're not winning that. Maybe there's a hope of Scottish Cup. I don't know.
Is this you
But-
basically saying that you think Celtic are going to beat at Hampden?
Oh yeah, I'm not watching it. I'm going to be hiding in my wee cubbyhole.
Well, we've actually got a
Um,
live episode for it, mate.
I know we do. I'm going to be like Harry Potter, the boy who hides under the stairs. So
You'll need a better one than that for Rangers to win as well.
But yeah, so unfortunately, I just don't see us winning a trophy. But I think if we can get through the next round in Europe, I think that's a short degree of success. So
Who are you worried about winning a trophy more, Pat? Rangers or Aberdeen?
Neither of them.
Cool.
Dear listener, this is normally the point where Steve would start to wrap up the episode, but as you'll be aware if you've listened to older episodes, poor Scotty has been getting such a hard time of it in the trivia the last few weeks that I thought I would step in, save his face, and put you on the spot, mate. So, your
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, your trivia this week.
What a wee legend, eh? It's the nicest thing you've ever done, Pat, honestly. Thank you.
Because you can't read and write, I get punished like this.
You can't read. All right. Come on.
Great comeback. You can't read. All right.
Right. Steve.
Yeah.
In the season 2013 to 14.
Yes.
Are you
going to tell me what the background of this is like I did for you?
This is me doing it.
Okay.
If you want to.
Sorry, I'm a bit defensive.
In 2013-14 season, the SPL became the SPFL. So two organising bodies merged, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And since then, 16 teams have played in the new SPFL.
Yep.
I just want you to name them.
So we have Celtic.
2 seconds.
Okay.
If you get one wrong, then you lose a life, and you've got 3 lives.
Okay.
Very fair. Very fair.
And you're right with Celtic.
Okay. Celtic, Aberdeen, Rangers, Dundee United. I'm trying to do an order and I've absolutely chucked that already. Motherwell, Dundee, Hibernian Hearts, St Johnstone, St Mirren, Ross County. How many am I on?
You're on 11.
Kilmarnock to make the 12.
Yep. Now, these are the 4 I thought you'd get to.
Oh, what do we have? We have Inverness, Cali Thistle.
Yep.
We have who got relegated last season? I should really know that. Oh, I should really know that.
There is a time pressure as per trivia.
There is a time pressure, yep. So when did you 13, 14?
Stop stalling.
I'm trying to work out if Partick Thistle had been up in that time.
Good one.
Oh, nice.
2 more to get.
13, 14. Is one of them like rogue, like they're playing in?
I won't tell.
How many? I've got 3 life, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a chance.
But you are starting to stall for time.
I think Falkirk played in one.
You've lost 1 life.
Oh shit, okay. Who is top of the championship right now?
Scotty, without giving any
Hamilton.
spoilers. Oh, he's got the other one. Scotty, without any spoilers, have you got the last one?
I think so, yes.
Let me know. Who's the last team that I played? Oh my god. Can I just say this? I've done better than what would have been expected currently.
I think it's a pretty easy question as well, isn't it?
Oh, do you? Do you really?
It's a pretty easy question, yeah.
When did your team win their biggest trophy ever?
You would have been like Rangers.
Died and then came back to life.
Steve, that's the timer on. 10 seconds.
I couldn't even tell you, mate. They're in the championship. They're probably top of the championship just now. And I can't
2
even
Hail
name
Marys.
Just get
does it reset the clock?
If you lose a life, it does, aye.
I'm just going to go Rafe Rovers to reset the clocks and then we've not been in it.
That's the streets of Rafe.
It's a tactical chuck of a life there. That's a tactical chuck of a life.
Love that. Even in this, he manages to find a way to play the rules.
Look at him. He operates in the
I
grey.
honestly couldn't even tell you who the other team are. How long have we got? 10 seconds?
9.
Honestly couldn't tell you, boys.
6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1.
Snap.
Scotty, get your own back. Come on, who is it?
Livingston.
Correct!
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Ian Martindale.
Redeem myself.
Poetic justice. Love that.
It's so hard and it's so easy now, is it?
Oh, what a perfect
15 out of 16 is
Yeah,
very
good.
respectable.
Well done, mate. That's
Usually
good.
you would be applauded for that, Scotty, but that's fine, mate. You take your
good effort, but an absolutely perfect
I'll take
ending.
any win that I can get
Can't
this
believe it.
season. mate.
All of them, Livingston as well. The one
I
who got
know.
relegated last season.
I know.
Are they even top of the championship? They're not, are they?
Second to beat Falkirk at the weekend.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, boys.
That's nice. Well done, Stevie.
No worries. I did see
Nice
we
wee surprise.
written on the document, and knew I was being.
Just fixate the.
Usually, when something's written on a document that I haven't written, or it says something like "we surprise," and I know I'm getting fucked. So, listen, you have been listening to a special episode of The Boy and the Bear as we cover International Week. We are back in a couple of weeks with a normal pod. However, we would like to give a little bit of a plea to our listeners for questions for our next podcast, trivia questions or just general questions I can pose to the boys. And or complaints, always welcome complaints. And if you could share this podcast with your mates in group chats, and also follow our podcast on our social media channels. And Scotty, you are up.
Thanks, man. That's great. Thank you so much.
Just for this,
that was a bit unexpected. That was a wee surprise there, isn't it?
It's at Boy Bear Pod on Instagram, for
yeah.
God's sake.
I know.
I'm
just playing to the gantry. Just chill out, man.
Where's
If you
the
want to.
You're sat at home with
Stand,
your hands under your neck.
Scotty McCoy.
I know, it's my picture of Ali McCoy in the stand, that's all it is. Right, so if you want to get in contact with us, please email us at theboyandthebear@gmail.com. How's that one, boys, eh?
That was good, Scotty.
Smashing. And are we on Twitter or X, mate?
We are on X.
Not for much longer.
At the Boy Bear Pod.
Well, Pat just said it, so
Cesspit.
just said it. Yeah.
Smash.
It's a cesspit. Well, we're also on YouTube as well. If you want to get us there. All right.
Hail.
Follow.
See you in a couple of weeks, boys.
See you, Livingston, mate.